Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel, and we're gonna have some fighting words. But before we go any further, you know the routine. I need for you to like this video and also please subscribe to my channel. So in this video, I want to talk about Keith Thurman and his return to the ring in 2022, and a strange opponent, Mario Barrios. Of all people, I don't know why Keith Thurman is fighting Mario Barrios. I I've been trying to wrap my head around it since I heard about this, and I don't know what that does for the division. I don't know what that does for Keith Thurman. I don't know what it does for Mario Barrios. I really don't know. I am so confused by this fight. There's nothing to gain by anybody. I mean, I guess Barrios, like, hey, I'm in the division, but I just beat a guy who went the distance with Pacquiao and lost, and then disappeared again. I really don't know what this fight does for anybody. I don't know what this fight says for the whole division, to be honest with you. It's just the weirdest thing in the world. Okay, let's just start with this. I feel like somebody upstairs in the office doesn't like Mario Barrios. Like, why would you put him up with Keith Thurman? Why would you? I guess you can make the argument, hey, he's been gone and surgeries and all this stuff. But then again, Mario Barrios just came out, like, he got beat up by Tank. So you put him in there with another heavy-handed guy who's even bigger, who's gonna finish out his career at 154, maybe even 160. I don't understand that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Keith Thurman, you're coming back to the division, but you're coming back and you're gonna fight a 140 pounder. I don't care if you look amazing. You're gonna, let's say if you look amazing and you end up knocking out Mario Barrios, you knocked out a 140 pounder in a 147 pound division. I don't think anybody's going to be quaking in their boots. I don't think anybody's going to be worried. I don't think anybody's going to be biting their nails like, oh no, here comes Keith Thurman. That's not going to prove anything, and that's certainly not going to say anything. And I don't think in any way, shape, or form is that going to lead to a statement. What kind of statement are you saying? What I did what Tank did when Tank moved up from 135? So what really are you saying? You're not saying anything. I get it. You need to make your way back to the division, so you need less of a test. But there's people in your division who you could have less of a test without it just looking like, you want the safest route possible. Because I'm sorry, that Keith Thurman fighting Mario Barrios, to me, it just seems like I want to get back in the game, but I want as little risk as possible when I get back in the game. I don't want to test. I don't want to be hit hard. I don't want anybody who's going to push me to the limit. I don't want that Manny Pacquiao fight again. I want something simpler. I don't want a Danny Garcia type fight again. I don't want a Sean Porter type fight again. I want something simpler. I think if Keith Thurman, I don't know if he really thought this through. I hope it's still just something, in the works, and it's not like concrete, because I just don't know what it does for him. I really don't know what it does for him. I mean, I guess for Barrios, he could be like, hey, let's just say he wins. I doubt that he will, but let's just say that he wins. I guess I beat a welterweight. Yeah, but you beat a welterweight who's been gone for quite some time, and then when he was here, he lost that fight. And he was also gone for quite some time prior to that fight. So I don't really know what that does for either guy, because that's not a true gauge for Mario Barrios if he comes into the division and he fights somebody who's been off as long as Keith Thurman. It's not a true gauge of what's out there in that division, to be honest with you. But it's not a gauge at all for Keith Thurman. I mean, my goodness, you're fighting somebody who got dusted off by somebody who's 135 pounds. Tank beat up Mario Barrios. He didn't just like win, he beat him up. Like, so if you put him in there with Keith Thurman, I'm expecting nothing less than like a 4th round knockout. And honestly, I don't think anybody should expect nothing less than a fourth round knockout. If not, I'm going to be disappointed. If this fight goes to the distance, I'm really going to be disappointed. I'm going to be like, okay, Barrios, you're a little tougher than I thought. But in terms of Keith Thurman, I'm like, dude, maybe it's time to hang him up. You can't put out a 140 pounder who got taken out by a guy who used to fight at 130 pounds. You know, maybe you need to do some real soul searching. I don't know how this fight came into being. I don't know what there is to gauge from it. I don't know what there is to gain from it. There's nothing to gauge in terms of the landscape of the welterweight division, and there's certainly nothing to gain. Like, are you really going to be proud? Oh, I beat up Mario Barrios? Are you going to be like celebrating that night and say, I took out Keith Thurman? You know, like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could argue that Barrios has a lot, not argue. Mario Barrios definitely has a lot more to gain by beating Keith Thurman than Keith Thurman has to gain by beating Mario Barrios. Hands down, no question about that. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be a pretty brutal beating. I don't understand why Keith Thurman is not trying to get his hands on an Ugas or Terrence Crawford. And I don't care if you have to underprice yourself if you get a belt out of it, because once you get your... So that's the thing. When these guys, I just feel like they're trying to overprice themselves. And to be honest with you, sometimes, especially when you're in a position that Keith Thurman's in, nobody's thinking about you anymore. Your stock is really low. And nobody's even looking at you like a threat. I mean, at this point, they're not even looking at you like you're going to show up. So nonetheless, they're not even looking at you like a threat. So it might be safer to underprice yourself just to get back in the game and then get, you know, a strap so it makes your stock go up. And now you don't have to beg them for fights. They're like, well, we want to unify, so yeah, I want to fight you. You know, and I don't honestly think it would be hard, you know, for Keith Thurman to possibly get his hands on an Ugas or to make an... I mean, I don't know about Earl Spence. I mean, he's made it pretty clear he's not interested in Keith Thurman. But if he were to lower his price and say, listen, you can chop my price in half, I want to fight Terrence Crawford. I don't think Terrence Crawford would be like, no. I really don't think he'd say that. I feel like he'd be like, yeah, sure, let's get it on. Because you were one of the top guys, you know. But Mario Barrios... I think that's such a bad move. I think it's a bad move. I think it's a bad look. And I don't feel like Keith Thurman is showing warrior heart, warrior spirit, or warrior competitorship by facing Mario Barrios. You know, I really don't know what to think about that. I'm curious to hear what you all have to think about it. So just drop your comments down below. And as always, please like and please subscribe.